Right, thank you for joining us at this time. You are watching news analysis live on Politics and Business TV. The top stories: Governor Rotimi Akeredolu dies of leukemia. World Bank says diaspora remittance into Nigeria expected to exceed $20 billion by the end of the year. Farming communities and herders trade blame over recent attacks in Plateau State. Details coming up shortly. Right, welcome back. I am Omohefe Peace Osemere. Well, it is a sad day for the people of Ondo State and Nigerians in general, as the governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, has been declared dead. Premium Times gathered that Akeredolu died at about 2 a.m. on Wednesday at a German hospital where he was receiving treatment. He reportedly died of leukemia and prostate cancer, two ailments that had made him incapacitated for several months. Also, former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Gali Naaba, is dead. The 8th Speaker of the House of Representatives died in Abuja on Wednesday morning. According to family sources, late Naaba battled with an ailment for a long time before passing away. According to the sources, the remains of the former Speaker will be buried in Abuja today, according to Islamic rite. May the souls of the departed rest in peace. Amen. Now let's move on to other matters, where the Central Bank of Nigeria has affirmed the safety of funds in Nigerian banks, emphasizing the stability of the country's banking sector. The Apex Bank therefore advised the public to continue with their regular banking activities without succumbing to the alarm caused by the unverified report not originating from the CBN concerning the health status of Nigerian banks. In a statement issued by the Acting Director, Corporate Communications, Hakama Sidi Ali, the Apex Bank said it is fully equipped to carry out its statutory duty of upholding a stable financial system in Nigeria. The clarification comes after the report by the CBN's special investigator, Jim Obaze, that the embattled former governor of the Apex Bank, Godwin Emefiele, used proxies to set up two financial institutions. The Punch newspaper reports that the outcome of the investigation had fueled speculations that the CBN may take over Titan Trust Bank, formerly a Union Bank, and Keystone Bank. Now, in the meantime, the World Bank has said a diaspora remittance into Nigeria is expected to exceed $20 billion by the end of the year, as total remittances into the sub-Saharan Africa region increased by 1.9%. According to the World Bank's latest migration and development brief released this month, global remittance flows would continue to grow in 2023, although at a slower pace. The brief also revealed that the slowed growth in remittances observed in 2023 is explained by the slow pace of growth in the high-income economies, where many sub-Saharan African migrants earn their income. It was also revealed that fixed exchange rates and capital controls were diverting remittances to the region from official to unofficial channels. Right, you're watching news analysis live on Politics and Business TV. Still to come. As the year winds down, critical assessment of a nation's security sector, gains, challenges, and the way forward. Details of this and more after the break. Do join us again. Welcome back. You're watching news analysis live on Politics and Business Television. Now, the Chief of Army Staff, Taori Lagbaja, says more than 50,000 soldiers are currently involved in several peacekeeping operations across the country. The internal security operations include counter-terrorism efforts in the northeast, separatist operations in the southeast, and combating oil theft in the south-south. Mr. Lagbaja gave the disclosure yesterday at a special luncheon organized for frontline troops of the 6th Division Nigeria Army, Port Harcourt. Represented by Kelvin Aligbe, the Commander, Training and Doctrine Command, Nigeria Army, Mr. Lagbaja said the troops had sacrificed their comfort for Nigerians to live peacefully. Now let's head on now to Plateau State, where more reactions are trailing or have been trailing the tragic incident which occurred on Christmas Eve. Now, farming communities and herders are trading blame over the attacks in Bokos and Barikin Ladi local government areas of Plateau State. Over 150 people have been confirmed dead so far, with dozens of houses, vehicles and other equipment destroyed. According to a national daily, leaders in farming communities are accusing herders of launching the attacks, but the herders also said they were the first victims and also accused security operatives of not being neutral. Both the Christian Association of Nigeria in Plateau State and at the national level, as well as the Jama'atul Nasrul Islam, JNI, have condemned the sporadic killings on the plateau and called for immediate action by the federal government. Now, as the year winds down, critical assessment of the nation's security sector, gains, challenges, and the way forward, of course, will be our focus on the interview segment. Nigeria, of course, is the giant of Africa, and no doubt it is faced with myriad of challenges from economic policies, education, and even health. However, issues around security has been on the front burner. This is not unconnected to the scores and records of attacks on communities and the citizenry. While some security analysts had tongue-lashed the previous administration under former President Muhammadu Buhari for not doing enough to tackle insecurity, new conversations have emerged, especially from the comments made by the Tinubu-led administration. Recall that the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, had said he would continue from the previous administration or where the previous administration stopped. However, hopes were quite high when the President Tinubu sacked former service chiefs under the previous administration. And of course, that was a move some Nigerians had said, was indicative of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's passion to reform the security architecture of the country. Of course, he spoke to this during his inaugural speech. We have my guest. Of course, he joins us live via telephone from Kaduna State. He is a security analyst, Comrade Salihu Mahmoud Dantata. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Efe.
Right, I guess I may have mispronounced your name. Is it Salihu or Salisu, please?
Salihu.
Right, thank you very much. I think I may have had too much to eat from the Christmas, merriment and all of that. A compliment of the season to you, by the way.
Same to you, Efe. Thank you very much for doing the nation building thing.
According to the International Center for Investigative Reporting, within the first 45 days of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reign, over 600 people were reportedly killed from insecurity crisis. And of course, when it comes to figures, they are sometimes conflicting, as to, giving the exact situation of things on ground. However, according to a report published, sometime in January this year by the Cable, it says that non-state actors killed 4,545 people and also kidnapped 4,611 in 2022. Now, with the progression of events, this year, there are concerns that these figures might actually, surge. But let's get your own assessment first of all. How would you assess the security sector from January up until this moment, Comrade?
Well, if we have to be candid, under this administration, I can say even though the top echelons at the security circle are trying to rate it high, I can say till now we haven't gotten as much as we want. Even though not long ago, Minister of State for Defense, Bello Mutawade, said they've been able to tackle security more than the past administration of Muhammadu Buhari. This is not true for the fact that let's start from Tudumbiri, where there was a drone mistake that went and killed more than hundreds of people. Then go to what also happened in Plateau on the Christmas Day and other happenings in Zamfara. That of Kaduna, the governor has taken measures through his state security outfit that has been reducing armed banditry to minimal level. But Niger, Zamfara, even though we know that the security agencies have carried out some onslaught, even though insecurity is not peculiar to Nigeria alone, but under this administration of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, I think they need to gear up from arithmetical to geometrical by way of enhancing their intelligence gathering, then again get exact targets of what they really want to achieve by dislodging the armed bandits and even the insurgents. If you remember, people in the northeastern part of Borno and Yobe had thought that insecurity or Boko Haramism has become an issue of the past in the northeast until the insurgence of Boko Haram in some part of Yobe and Borno State. Even the convoy of Yobe State governor escaped by whiskers, if you can remember,
right.
some weeks ago. So to say, I think I will score this government 40% on achievement on security. They need to do a lot by way of taking our advice by restructuring the security architecture, because it appears some of the members of the armed forces, police and others that have overstayed in certain places need to be transferred. There's certain equipment and weapons that needed to be provided should also be. Under the past Buhari administration, a lot of procurement was made for arms and armament. So this government too promised, but still the remnants of these weapons are still there in cantonments and air force bases and establishment of various security agencies. Let them use, but above all, they need to enhance intelligence gathering, because for you to achieve...
Comrade, I'm sorry to butt you, but if you'd let me, before you talk about, intelligence gathering, community policing, kinetic and non-kinetic, measures as to how to deal with insecurity, because we understand that security analysts like you have over time stressed the need for all of these, measures to be adopted. However, according to a report here on Human Angle, it says security improved in 22 Nigerian states this year, and this report was actually published just on Christmas Day, December 25th. And again, it shows that an overall improvement in security in 2023, but some states, actually got, the records more than other states. Now, is that a pointer to the fact that perhaps your own score, because you said you would score this administration 40%, that is not even close to half mark. This obviously contradicts, your score, but let's get your own, thought on this particular report that, security improved in 22 Nigerian states this year. You are one person that is known for traveling a lot to do background search. So what have you been able to gather?
If security had improved in 22 states, how come bandits came from neighboring Cameroon to attack a community in Taraba State that even a second-class chief, who is the chief of that community, was abducted? If security had improved in 22 states, how come just on Christmas Day, people were attacked in Barikila, the local government area of Plateau State? If security had improved, how come people are still afraid to travel from Trahe, Gusau, Sokoto axis, where bandits are still carrying out onslaughts? If security has improved, how come people around Igabi local government, people around Biningwari local government, Biningwari town in what you call it, Kaduna State, as well as other states, are still lamenting? You see, let us not play politics with security. This is the problem of certain people. There are certain psychopaths in the system who travel by flight, who travel by escorts. They sit down in air-conditioned rooms to say this and that. We that get contact with people that travel here and there by road should be the ones that are eminently qualified to lament and emphasize on these issues. So I disagree with that report. Basically, somebody can just go and be under the payroll of the security agencies. Yes, we know that the security agencies from the armed forces, police and others are putting their effort, but all we are saying, they need to restructure the entire security architecture, because we don't know why, with the presence of certain security establishments. Let me give you an example of the police. In every community, no matter how small, you have outposts. In every local government headquarters, you have division headquarters, you have area commands and others. Then come to the army. There are other areas, there are battalions, there are Air Force base, if there are riverine areas, naval base, and also others, then DSS presence and what have you. Right. All we are saying is that when we are saying they should restructure the architecture so that they will have efficiency, once it is restructured, those who have no business being in certain areas will be taken away. Those who are gallantry and competent enough to work, they will be there. Then again, most of the gadgets that needed to be provided will be provided, including logistics funds, hazard allowance, and what have you. This is why we are calling for the restructuring, because the moment you restructure, you'll be able to know what are the deficiencies, what are the things that are capacitating against their performance. So that is the heat.
Again, let me butt you one more time, Comrade Saliu. Of course, the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, was, backlashed by Nigerians, security analysts, and even the international community for perhaps not doing enough to tackle insecurity. So having handed over to the current president, of course, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who once said he would continue from where the previous administration, actually stopped. Of course, when he made that comment, it sparked a lot of reactions. However, when he also sacked, the former service chiefs, a number of Nigerians were optimistic that, that of course was a step in the right, direction. And you also talk about, the present IG of police, Kayode Egbetokun, at the time when he assumed office, he said it felt like a tiger, or sometimes it feels like a lion. So right now, are those just, would you say those are just comments to score some, perhaps cheap political points? Because the reality on ground is, very far from, the comments that have been made, by the government, the federal government, the relevant stakeholders when it comes to security.
Even the Federal Capital Territory and the residents, the president, members of the diplomatic community, higher echelons of the security, and other important people is not 100% safe. For I can tell you, for instance, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, you cannot freely walk from Wuse Market Bridge to Zone 4 Bridge. These boys will come from the bush and attack you with knife in order to take your phone. So also from former Sheraton, that is now Abuja Intercontinental Hotel, to National Mosque, those are areas that banana farming is been taking place. Then also from Tufa House to Sheraton Junction, that bridge and other areas, then talk more of outskirts like areas like Nyanya, Kuje, Gwagwalada, and also others, including Madana and others. You see, let us tell ourselves the truth, like I'm telling you. It doesn't lie on government alone to score itself, or maybe some proponent groups to score it. It is the people and people that have expertise in this direction. I've just given you an example of the Federal Capital Territory. We've had cases of one chance in the FCT where some innocent commuters will be dislodged at midway while they board commuter vehicles, even though we know the agencies have also been advising people not to board on painted taxi and kabu-kabu and also others. But above all, what I want to say, they need to estray the security circle in entirety. Presently, with what is happening in Zamfara, some part of it, just of recent, the members of the security agencies, especially the armed forces, had to, based on intel, pursue some of the bandits that were fleeing to Niger State. Fortunately, they were able to dislodge them and kill them and also others. That is just part of it. But if we are to say, they need to holistically approach this issue by way of enhancing intelligence gathering. Community policing is there. And we know the recruited constabulary police, even though it is not gathering momentum, but above all, let the service personnel from the Army, Navy, Air Force, Police, DSS, order further give retraining on intelligence gathering and use of modern gadgets. Like, for example, even though with the mistaken use of drone at Tudumbiri in Kaduna State, they can still use those gadgets effectively. It is shameful to hear that this time that bandits from not even Nigeria, neighboring Cameroon, entered a neighboring community that is in Nigeria to even kidnap the community leader and 22 other people. Then also look at that of Plateau on Christmas Day, even though we know this is...
Comrade Salihu, well, one would say that it's a good thing you even pointed to the fact that some of these, unscrupulous elements, they find their way into the country from, neighboring countries. What does that tell you about? What does that tell you about, the borders in the country?
The borders, we've lamented right from time that they are porous. I want to tell you from those Gamborungala, Chad border, all these Taraba towns border with Cameroon, Chikanda, Gure, Kwara border with Benin Republic, as well as GBR, Niger, and also others, they are porous. all the businesses that is done there is give and take, where the security agencies that are there, rather than protecting the border spaces, they are after what will come in, what they can get, which ought not to be. So I think even the borders, we are not saying they must build a perimeter fences. No, what they should do, they should take more active officers of the immigration, customs, army, border police, DSS, EFCC, and others to border areas who are protected to the country, because presently what is there is bribery and corruption that you can see physically, where even through the bush parts, illegal immigrants come in through the bush parts, goods are being smuggled, and if for one day there is any patriotic officer that is there, they try to malign or sabotage him. So above all, they need to also further beef our border entrance and exit areas in Nigeria with other neighboring countries. You even see some people from neighboring countries, the way and manner they come and go out, you even think they are Nigerians. And don't forget, there are certain tribes in Nigeria that also have their brothers and sisters in those neighboring countries.
And they also bear similar names. Yeah.
I will give you an example of Adamawa State. For example, if you go to Garua, it's in Cameroon, it's close to, Adamawa State, Yola, and other areas like Mubi, Michika, and other Mambila in Taraba, and also others.
Okay.
Also, you go to Katana, Niger, also the...
Yeah, quickly, Comrade Saliu, if you can hear me, let's narrow this conversation, down to what happened recently in Plateau State, because, of course, that seems to be the big news story right now. Would it be right to say that the attack there, I mean, it came off as, a case of, misunderstanding between herders and, farmers?
Well, the misunderstanding and conflict in Plateau has been that of herders and residents. Don't forget, this is the season that the herdsmen move from the north to the south, because in search of what to feed their cattle and what have you. This is what people must know. So in the process of this movement, not only Plateau State, in other states also it happens, where in the process of the herdsmen movement of their cows and what have you, sometimes when they encroach into farms, the resistance by the farmers creates this problem. So it is no more than that in Plateau State. It is the movement season time. The herders are moving from north to south. So and automatically it happens. But it is very unfortunate that at this time we are still battling with these herders and farmers clash. Even though some classes are trying to further inflame it rather than dispose and make a kind of ADR. So I think the issues also, it took the security agencies about 45 minutes before they even arrived to rescue. So this all goes down to what I'm telling you. We are there to be intelligence gathering that is accurate as it is happening. They will know how to get there in time and even maybe use some of these gadgets, not to kill, but to see how it can be brought to, BRS. And don't forget, there is a special task force of the Nigerian Army by the Defense Headquarters in Plateau over time, right from time. And same Plateau State, because of this skeletal crisis and conflict, once had our Obasanjo administration to declare state of emergency. We are not calling for that now, but I think the security agencies must also live up to expectation. The police, the army, the Air Force, and other security agencies that are charged with the constitutional responsibility of protection of lives and properties in that state.
Comrade Salihu, declaring a state of emergency on, security or insecurity, if you like, one would say that might not really, make much difference, because in other sectors where there are issues, state of emergency, had been declared, and, it left, Nigerians with little or no result to show for it. However, when you take a look at the way these attacks have happened over time, they seem to follow the same pattern. And also the governor over there in Plateau had come out to say that, some of the schools have been like some sort of hideout for these terrorists for, quite some time now. How disturbing is that to you?
Well, please, I did not mention that they should declare state of emergency. I told you, if you go categorically by my statement, that even though declaration of state of emergency will not overwhelm, just get the last content of my discussion with you. Okay. So I don't think I propose that. I will never propose a state of emergency under a democratic setup. The issue of the governor are coming out to lament or not coming out. You see, the governors in our presidential system have limitation to control of security agencies. So that is why in most cases we tend not to blame them 70 or 80%, because the control of the police is from federal, the Army, Navy, Air Force, DSS, and others. Outside the VIOs, the residual creation, all other agencies are under federal. So I think it is the purview and the constitutional responsibility of the President and Commander-in-Chief as those he appointed to represent him. In that state, you have a Commissioner of Police. In that state, you have Commanding Officer. In fact, you even have the 3rd Armored Division of the Nigerian Army. They are headed by a Major General, a GOC. So what I'm saying also goes to the negligence sometimes at the part of security agencies, where it is when there is crisis that you now know you should prepare. No, even though with the special task force there, they don't seem to be living up to expectation, because we are there to be, all the local government in that state should at least have a standby army skeletal outskirt division or battalion. So also mobile police, counter-terrorism unit, and special tactical squad. Then the special forces, we know it has gone beyond the conventional police that are constitutionally adding outpost division and others there. So I think the security in Plateau State should live up to expectations. So on this note, I think the governor has not much blame. He's a chief security officer, but he can only collaborate with the security agencies, but cannot readily give them orders.
Okay, so in a minute, to wrap up the conversation, a takeaway from your analysis is the fact that we really cannot hit our chest and say that we recorded gains, in the security sector this year. But going forward, aside restructuring the security architecture of the country, what else would you, recommend?
What I would recommend also, communities at the receiving end should be enlightened towards also availing the security agencies of intelligence information, because sometimes when these crises and conflicts are happening, it takes hours before they even inform security agencies, even though we have establishment of some smaller security agencies like outposts and divisional headquarters and local government headquarters and what have you. Then beyond that, let the government also improve on the training of security agencies, because in a situation where someone is regimented and is being overtaken by somebody that is just a non-state actor, it's shameful. It's uncalled for.
Okay. Thank you very much, Comrade Salihu, Mahmoud Dantata. I'm afraid we just have to leave the conversation here now because of time, but thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right. Comrade Salihu Dantata is a security analyst, and of course he joined us from Kaduna State today on a news analysis. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. I am platforms at PNB TV. Compliment of the season, and see you next time.